Hello,
Hello there,
Jen Walter.
Carolyn Williams.
We are here this evening to celebrate Roger Brooks' American Real first anniversary. And we were going to meet in person, but that didn't happen. So I thought it'd be a lovely idea if Jen and Carolyn got together. Anyway.
It's a great idea. I love it.
And I'd like you to start by telling people how we met.
Oh, we met through an online class through London Real, and we were in the same team for Speak to Inspire. And through that 6 weeks, we developed an incredible relationship that I think was cemented in foreverness. I don't even know, when we met in London on the night of our final speeches. And it was incredible, and it was an amazing adventure. And so it was the class, it was the communication, but it was being in person, that first meeting, that just cemented this relationship.
Yes, I can remember you entering the room several times. And it was like the shepherd, and it was like the hostess, and with the mostess. And you were highly engaging with everybody, so it wasn't just me. I remember you literally going to everybody and making sure you had a greeting with each member and group. And then you check me, and eventually we got together and laughed.
Oh, did we laugh? We laughed a lot. Yes, that was a hard day because I traveled and then I stayed up. I don't know, was I hitting close to 40 hours when we finally, yes. I was getting loopy, but yes. And the laughter was amazing. In fact, we walked back in a tunnel, and it was an amazing experience. I looked at you and you looked at me, and we had the same thought, and I knew we were connected. We knew right then and there.
Absolutely connected. And that's the unusual bit for me. It's very rare I get a eye contact that is instant. And you were giving me instant eye contact several times. It didn't happen just once, it happened a few times. And it was getting quite spooky on occasions. But then your eyes laugh like my eyes. So that's the difference. It isn't spooky because there's a lot of energy going on, and a lot of sparking going on.
Oh, I would totally agree. And it was there's one time I remember in the flat that we made contact, and I was like, whoa, that we both had the same thought at the same time. It was I have to say amazing, Carolyn, because it was just a thought. We just connected and we knew, but it wasn't scary. Like you said, it wasn't scary.
No.
It was a place of love, which was really nice.
Respect and love.
Yeah.
I can remember how I respected the fact that you'd organized the house, and it was such a beautiful house, and it accommodated all of us. And I can remember thinking we were there to present our speeches in London Rail Studios. And that was awesome because we had the camera above, and we had all these people in the audience and fellow members, fellow speakers. And that was awesome. But the awesome bit about coming to the house that you'd hired was the fact that we had a staircase. So we were on street level, the door was on street level. And I can remember being there and then seeing Jenn arrive down the staircase. So it was rather a catwalk.
It was an interesting flat. Yes, I will give you that.
Yes.
But I don't think it was perfect for us.
It was perfect. Mm-hmm. But I have never, I just wanted to explain to you, Carolyn Williams' experience and lifetime, I have never, ever, ever been in a basement flat together that you had to walk in through the door, and then right downstairs, and then disappear. Basically, it was like a basement.
It was a poor design not to have the light switch at the top of the stairs, so that was a little bit. So someone had to go to the basement to turn the lights on so we could come down the stairs. That part was a little tricky.
That was a bit tricky. So then I thought, and I didn't have a guilt, I was just finding it highly amusing that I had given a speech about homelessness, and you had all been gracious and done your meditation with me. And then we arrived in this luxurious apartment that Jenn Waters had arranged, and I felt rather grand. Even at basement level, I felt grand. So it did give you a sense of A, gratitude, and B, belonging.
Mm-hmm. Yes, definitely. I mean, on the way home, we saw so many people, individuals that were homeless, and to have a place to stay that was warm and safe and secure, and I think allowed us to laugh for maybe 2 to 3 more hours that night. Yeah, it was a good feeling.
It was a good feeling. So then, having done our speeches, and I would say connected and engaged with everybody there, including Brian Rose, obviously, the Dynamo.
Mm-hmm.
To meet him in person, the Dynamo, I would say was an extraordinary energy for me and everybody else. So our energy was large, but his energy was equally large. So the whole thing really, I felt, just ignited in that room.
Oh, I would agree. He was on fire when we did our speeches, and then the feedback that he gave to everyone was so personalized and was from a place to make us better that it just increased the energy. And with each speech, we were all so excited and so supportive of each other. And I've never been in something like that where there's no competition. It's there to support, and just, there were a couple of us that had a hard time, but we cheered them through and they got through it, and we were all stronger after that night.
And amazingly, we've kept in touch with nearly everybody since then. Well, you have and I have.
Mm-hmm.
Most of them we've kept in touch with. Some of them have obviously gone away and done their thing. But I've noticed that because you give your greetings for their birthdays, that they will come back and say hi. And sometimes they miss us. So, yes, they'll drop in because they want to do that. Mm-hmm. Which means that occasion was so special that they want more of it.
Oh, I agree. And then our chat, just recently we had it, and I was just like, how are you doing? And then everyone was like coming through, and you're right, they all want to be part of it and wants to get back together and see what everyone's doing, because it's such a special bond that we created that night, that weekend we created.
So what really triggered your decision to join Live Tribe 21, and then it became worldwide? What was the reason for that?
Well, it might be the woman sitting next to me that said, hey, come check out this opportunity. But it was another way for me to continue to brace my fears of speaking in public, or thoughts of fears that I had, to go live and try it out. And it was a wonderful experience. Obviously, I did it I still am in the cycles.
Yes, I can remember seeing Gav call us for the first time and thinking to myself, well, he's different. And his kind of approach was so street savvy that's what attracted me to want to be a part of being constant, being accountable, and being together as a tribe that was wanting to do the same thing, basically, and that is to do what you just talked about, to go live, to squash and quash the fear of going live, regardless of opportunities, because I remember you were desperately trying to get your TED Talk, and you were disappointed, but you kept going, and you had a lot of encouragement to keep going, because we still see the light in you as we did that day in December. So my view on that is the right people aren't asking you yet.
Well, thank you. I've got some more I'm going to put out, and I think it's going to happen if it's meant to be, and I'm okay with that now, because the message with this online community, with Live Tribe, is you're being able to connect with other people. And you're right, Gav was very different. And there were so many people. Jack was different. It was just so exciting to meet people from all over the world that had the same idea, the same mindset. And we kept banding together and supporting each other.
There were 4 Jacks, I remember.
Oh, wow.
And the reason I remember there were 4 Jacks was because where I live in Swansea, you're known as a Swansea Jack.
Oh.
And therefore, I was counting the Jacks that were on Live Tribe 21 and making a huge effort to go live at the Jack Liberty Stadium, which is the football stadium, and pointing at it saying, this is where the Jack Army lives. Because the Jack Army are the supporters for the whole of the Swans football team.
Okay. Yeah.
So it gave me content for my live, the Jacks that were on. And they were all different. Each one of those Jacks were different.
Mm-hmm. Very so, but unique and amazing for their own individuality and
Yes.
what they brought to the table.
Yes.
And that is something I think we learned through Tribe. It doesn't matter. Your unique voice is what is so important, because there is nobody else that has it. And we're afraid to use it. I'm guilty of it, but we just need to put it out there and let it shine and let it and see what happens.
And you sang.
Oh, not very well, but I have.
Yes. You sang on a couple of your lives, which has made my day. And it's very like the sound of music.
Oh, you're about the only one that thinks that, so thank you. Oh, the one on the snow pile I did for you.
Yes, that was special. It was a Jenn Walter special.
Yes.
So if it helps to share with you my view about TED Talks here in Swansea, I wasn't seeking to go on the TED Talk here in Swansea because I didn't know at that point, I didn't know that it existed. And then I learned through Facebook that they were promoting it here in Swansea. And it's literally within yards of where I live, because we have a museum here in Swansea. And it's known as the sort of new museum, and that's where they host TED Talks. So I'd been living all this time and known Jenn Walter for all this time, and hadn't realized that I was literally yards away from a TED Talk. And then I learned from my daughter that this TED Talk is organized by people at the university here, Swansea University. So they themselves will throw out that invite. And so it's not until you are in that kind of circle do you understand that that happens here. So I guess that's the same for each city.
Mm-hmm.
That you tend to be in the circle and you'd know, and if you're not in the circle, then you wouldn't know for a while. So if that gives you any heart, that's why I've told you.
Well, I appreciate that. And that's for the first time I didn't know. It was a friend of a friend that said, oh, did you know this was application which was open, and that was the one where I got to audition on the stage, but I would not have known about it unless someone told me about it.
Yeah. And since I've followed you in terms of wanting you to see you on the TED stage, I've listened to 3 TED Talks, and one of them has been about empowering women, and the other one was from a doctor, and I found that, and again, medicine plays a huge part in my life, and it was really saying what we describe ourselves in Live Tribe 21 as we are our health. In other words, if we are aware of wanting long-term health, we have to look at what that involves and embrace it.
Mm-hmm.
And this doctor was saying how he treats his patients. Unlike many doctors, he does not prescribe pills for them. He will get them to look at their lifestyle. And when they have chronic illnesses, he will break it all down. And a lot of it stems from lack of sleep, stress, and obviously the usual nutrition and lack of exercise. But the stress is the highest. And that was something that when I joined Ford Motor Company 30 years ago, I was writing articles in our Western Mail here for South Wales, articles about stress management, because I'd become a health tutor. And I knew that stress and ill health and lack of education was the biggest driver for heart attacks and mental ill health. But corporate in those days did not like the word stress. So I was, I would say, encouraged not to use the word stress. And here we are 30 years later, knowing very well that stress and depression and mental health is the biggest killer. So, you know, we just got to say the truth and be the truth.
Yeah.
And so I don't keep quiet about it any longer.
Good, good. You shouldn't. You put it out there, yes.
Yes, indeed. And so come back to Live Tribe 21. I'm noticing that each one of us will share because we feel we've got that space to be able to do that.
Oh, I would agree. I would agree that we respect each other, and we may disagree with certain things, but when we're in that moment and we're talking about something, it represents who we are, maybe what we're going through, and is very supportive. And what is said, not that it stays in the tribe, but that it is supported by the tribe.
Yes, it shows facets of everybody's issue or everybody's life or everybody's what I call hang-ups. And then you begin to see a pattern that we've all got the same hang-ups virtually. Mm-hmm. Or at least we've had similar hang-ups at some part in our lives and they're all the same. So we're human. So at the end of the day, the human element is there. And we embrace the human element.
Oh, I totally agree, Carolyn. We are all the same, whether you experienced it as a little girl or teenager or a young woman, we've all gone through something very similar. And that experience bonds us and we're connected. We're not as alone or different as we think.
The human element was one of the reasons why I went to Swansea University to join the Health Institute there to do my counselling. And what led me to do that was I was struggling to get support through a horrific divorce. And the only people that supported me was my immediate doctor. But there were other doctors who, even in I'm talking about the 90s, sort of beginning of the 90s, they, even in those days, would see it as a stigma, divorce as a stigma. And it's an incredible, it's a horror story. It's a sheer horror story where and I'll equate it, and it's similar, even though it's horrific, with the Pope going to Dublin today. Our Pope has gone to Dublin and there's been a protest because of the Catholic Church link between that and abuse. But the Pope today has actually come out and apologized for that. Now that would have been unheard of years ago, unheard of. So you're beginning to see that the churches have had such a big role to play, and yet they have failed to support people that need the support. Yeah. And they, at the end of the day, are the ones that need that kind of insight. So I was just giving you an example of what I lacked, and therefore that drove me to counselling. And looking back on it, I'm so glad I did it. I'm so glad, because it's given me such an insight. into how we are human and how we go blind when we want to.
Oh, yes. And I'm going to toot your own horn because you're probably not going to do it for yourself, but you have a gift when it comes to being insightful. I've seen it in the tribe, and I've seen it when you interact with people, and you just like you'll see something and you're like, I think this is X. And then come to find out a week or 2 weeks later, you find out that X was accurate. And you just seem to put the nail on the head every time when your intuition or your insight, you're like spot on.
Thank you. That happened when I joined the BNI in Swansea. It was called the Waterfront chapter because they all have names. And I was there for a year, and I was asked to be a hostess on it because you get a director, then you get sort of a finance person, and then you get hostesses chosen. And I loved it. I suppose, it was what I wanted to do, and I just loved it to get to know people. And I can remember having one social evening where we were all celebrating a successful sort of chapter. And one of the gentlemen who was, I'm trying to think marketing, he was a marketing specialist. He very quietly said to me, Carolyn, he said, "You're spooky." And I said, "Why am I spooky?" And he said, "You can see so many things that is incredible." And I said, "Is that bad?" And he said, "No." He said, "But it's an incredible gift." And I half of me thought, well, maybe people would be overwhelmed by it. So I kept quiet about it. But then, as you quite rightly said, in weeks ahead, that would come to fruition.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'd go, oh, I got it. But there's a difference in being insightful and being a psychic.
Oh, yeah.
So that's why I was keeping it sort of fairly low profile, because there is a difference.
Yeah.
In business and in finance and in that kind of world where they see everything as black and white. They wouldn't take too well to being.
No, and also in a man's world, they might not take well to that as well. So
there you go. So I did have my, I would say, a Jenn Walter and Carolyn Williams hour when I gave my 10 minutes presentation, because by that stage, I'd got to know everybody's lack of exercise or enjoyment of whatever they did. And I arranged a circuit especially for them each. And they had to participate because that was the whole plan. And unknown to me, the one person who was, again, he was known as the web wizard. He filmed everything. So he was really smiling on everybody's behalf when he was sending the film to each member of that chapter, because I got them all to move and do a circuit.
Oh, awesome. Awesome.
Yes. One solicitor who had never exercised in his life, ever, but enjoyed swimming. So I got him to swim, not in the pool, but on a ball. So whatever they liked doing, I managed to sort of ad-lib.
Okay.
Yes, it was a scream. And somebody who obviously had I would say, an unpleasant experience in his class in terms of the gym at school, because you have a lot of adults that would have horror stories about their PE in their classes. And I would just squash everything and make them laugh like Jenn Walter, you see. So we'd end up just laughing everywhere, which is the right thing to happen, because at the end of the day, when you're in finance and you're in a business and it can be stressful and you're a sole owner, what you need and lack is laughter.
Yes. Oh, I totally agree. I agree. I think in everything, nobody laughs as much as they used to.
No.
They're too serious and they just need to laugh.
And we need to give permission and have a space for that. It's a space that we allow ourselves to just get into. And fortunately, I'm sharing that with you, which is obviously why we smile at each other all the time.
I'm trying not to laugh right now because I'll go into a giggle fit.
So, moving to the time when Gav Carlos introduced us to Roger Brooks. Do you remember that occasion? Because I'm trying to think back when that happened.
I can't remember the exact date, but I remember where that came in.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I can remember meeting virtually through Facebook. Roger was linked with Broadcast Yourself, and this was the connection between American Reel and London Reel, and Brian Rose and Roger Brooks. So that's how I first came across Roger. So then I realized that Gav Carlos was doing his live tribe and linking with Roger Brooks. So that was the second kind of insight. And then seeing a huge change in terms of membership and people that had already done London Reel and was doing their Life Accelerator, the Business Accelerator, and the podcast courses, and American Reel being very young. And here we are, the first anniversary. So what's your experience of American Reel in terms of your time with them?
Oh, my experience has been positive. And yes, there was a lot of crossover from London Reel folks, reelers, to American Reelers.
Yes.
But it's been a lot of growth. Roger has been an incredible mentor. He's been very supportive of me during the process, and he's given me insight that's helped me grow, which is priceless. It really is. He's provided an area for us to be who we want to be, who we think we want to be, and explore that. And there's no judgment. There's just the opportunity to be ourselves and grow this community. And he has ideas which I think in the second year of American Reel are going to be out of this world. So it's an unlimitedness. It's something, there's a lot of opportunities. So my experience was going every day and doing these lives, and then going to the 5-minute lives and realizing I can't always do a 5-minute live, but just the growth, it's given me tremendous growth. And I have to be extremely grateful to Roger and American Reel and Gav for that opportunity, to be honest.
Yes, similarly, it's a massive opportunity because it's a big platform and a big space, and it's a space to be you. And this is what, yes, be you. And what better invite than to be you?
It's the best one out there. It's the best one out there. Yeah. And so many times we're so afraid to not be ourselves, when being ourselves is the greatest asset we have. And I am the queen of the quirkiness, and I'm embracing it. And I'm finding so many people love being quirky, and they're letting themselves just a little bit of doing it, but they're allowing themselves to be their true selves. And it's so empowering to be yourself and not be afraid to be who you really are. So
that reminds me, that lovely quirkiness smile on your face reminds me of the first time I saw you twirl in your dress.
I love that dress. I love that dress.
And you can talk about what the dress means, because I know a lot of people know the dress print itself, but I just laughed at the fact that you love being in it and twirling in it. And then the second shot I saw was you wearing a wig, and you encourage everybody to come on and do their lives in a wig. And before that, I can remember you wearing this fantastic cap hat, and that you lost. And then that was getting lost.
Yeah.
So the whole connectivity of your taglines of getting lost, and you lost your hat, you're trying to find your hat, you found your tribe.
Yeah.
Yes, there's a lot of connectivity going on here, getting lost and finding your tribe and navigating. You helped us navigate through, I would say, some tough times and some happy times. And in our case, some really fun times.
Oh, wonderful times. Yes.
And we've even, I was going to say about the Waters, because I can remember, and your surname Waters, I can remember the two of us really sparking when we were invited to go on board a ship with one of the Speak to Inspire Us. And the both of us couldn't wait to get on board that ship. Talk about navigation.
Oh, we'll be on that ship. I probably won't be allowed anywhere near the wheel because of what happens when I'm in boats, but we are going to be on there navigating, and those are going to be real things that are going to happen, and we're going to have those adventures.
Yes.
That's going to be fun on that boat.
And then the visual image of Jenn Water with the dress and the twirl are the sneakers that you wear.
Oh, yes. So for those who don't know, I was down in Orlando and I purchased a dress for myself. And the fabric is from the movie Monsters, Inc. So it's all the doors. And it's a
Monsters, say it again.
Monster, Inc.
Inc.
And so
Gotcha.
in the movie, they have to go through the doors to the children's room to scare them. But in the end, they find out that laughter is more powerful than scaring, which I think is a good message. So it's very 50s, and I have the crinoline, and so it poofs out, and then it just fits really good because I've lost some weight this year. So when I twirl, it's like I have the power of that twirl to push out negativity and fill it with positivity. And of course, I wear it with black Chuck Converse shoes, which are, again, very quirky.
Are they Converse?
The Converse, yep.
Wow, I wear Converse.
I love them. I love them. I'm in the hunt for a pair of pink ones. I don't know why I want pink, but I do. So it's just wearing something during actually the beginning of Live Tribe. I talked about a dress it was the dress I did my speech in, and I had my interview in from London Real, and I felt empowered by it. So now when I wear my twirly monster dress, I'm empowered. It gives me this great strength that nobody can take it away from me because I give it to myself by wearing it. So,
was this after you had done your Life Accelerator and therefore was become more aware of peeling the onion, and then Jenn becoming who she really is?
Yes, it was after the Life Accelerator when I just started to lose some of that and the layers that were coming off. Yes, when I said, what would I call? I was rising from the ashes like a phoenix. Oh my, yes.
Yes. And I could see it literally happening in front of my eyes. So you'd obviously started cycling, then you did that really well, and you were quite committed and disciplined. And then you started jogging.
Mm-hmm.
And are you still doing that? What part are you in?
I actually alternate. I ride my bike one day and then I'll jog the next, so that gives my knees a break. And there's only a few times a week where I'll actually hit 2 miles, and that's okay. It's just getting out there and sweating and just being outside. There's a couple times when I'm just on the trail and nobody's with me, and you're just with the trees and the birds. It's so, I don't know, therapeutic, I guess, just to be outside.
It is therapy.
Mm-hmm.
And does it give you time to mentally process?
I think it does, especially when I'm on my bike, because it's usually about a 55 minute bike ride. And there's a stretch of trail, because I do it over and over again, that it's almost like active meditation. I am out, and then there's a clarity that I have, and thoughts come together, and I'm like, that's what I need to do. It's almost epiphany, like that. You're like, okay, that's what I got to do.
Yes. And there is a visual change in you. Your face has changed.
Yeah, it's definitely gone in a bit.
The smile's got wider.
It really has. I have a stretch of pictures that I have that I'll post in December and show how the progression is. And it's actually amazing to see smiles getting bigger, the cheeks getting smaller, it's just happier. So it's been a great year. We're not there yet, but It still is a great year.
So what's next for Jenn Walter?
Well, I still want to continue on the TEDx opportunity, but I don't feel that my life is going to be over if I don't get it anymore. Now it's because I want to tell about my journey and what really means getting lost and how it can benefit everyone. So there's one out on the West Coast that I can't remember the title of the meeting, but it seems perfect. So I've got to get those out here in the next week or two, and I'm going to keep going forward. I'm taking time off. I'm going to go to a conference in the West, Power You, Power Me. But my buddy, Jay Shetty's going to be there. So he doesn't know he's my buddy, but he is.
He is.
He is. He's a wonderful man that you actually introduced me to. And his message has resonated so strongly with me that it's introduced me to yet other individuals in his genius group. That there's a couple people that they inspire me so much. His message is so incredible. And then Lewis Howes was another one that you've introduced me to that he's going to be there as well. I'm excited that he'll be there. I may wear my dress. I don't know yet, depending on the weather. And if I can pack that crinoline in a backpack, we'll have to see.
Does Taylor Swift happen before or after that conference?
It happens next week.
Oh, it's imminent.
It's imminent, yes.
Are you wearing the dress then?
No, because I'm afraid people, if someone spills something on it, I don't want that to happen. But we haven't decided what we're going to wear yet. My daughter and I have to talk about that and figure out if it's going to match or we're going to totally wear something separate.
That's a mum-daughter secret.
Yes.
Talking about Jay Shetty, I listened to his clip today about the contrast between our society, 2018, is more concerned about caliber as opposed to character. So I liked that. I liked it so much. I sent it to both my children and my son's fiance because she's a teacher. I felt that would be rather nice to share with her to get her take on the difference between caliber and character. Because society, I think, need to be aware that we need to bring the focus back to family value and what values that we see as vital for growth. In the same as we have for Live, Tribe and American Real, we've grown as a family, we've embraced each other and we've supported each other. And I think that is what I see as character.
Yes, I would agree. I would agree. And yeah, I'm very fortunate for my daughter that they have a program to instill character in the children. It is something, it's not everyone embraces it. And there was a time where it really mattered, and I think it needs to be brought back. As you said, it's a family value, and when you respect everyone, and I didn't see the video, so I'm going to have to find it.
I'll send it to you. It's worth seeing. The connectivity between that clip and what you're doing in terms of your passion, navigating and getting from one place to another, and spending time together as a family on holiday, I feel is part of that. So you're a big piece of the cake in that respect for me.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I am a big proponent of families need to travel together and do things together. And they may not be the best trips, but they actually are the best trips when you're together. And I mean, not everyone likes to camp, and you don't have to camp, but you have to do something with your family. You have go to the park, do a picnic, play a game, show them how important they are. Then they learn I am important. So then they build it, just a cycle that just goes bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yes. And there is in that role play and role modeling. Mm-hmm. And that's, for me, even as a teacher, is so necessary that children have role modeling and role models who are disciplined in how we value the fabric of families.
Yes.
That tapestry,
There,
rich tapestry.
it is. And I love the fact that a family can be so colorful. It can be so many different threads, and together it's stronger because it's just woven. I'm thinking of my extended family, and it's an amazing bunch of individuals, and it's so much stronger because each person is a different thread, and it just tells a different story.
Yes, you've come together quite a lot this year, haven't you, as an extended family?
We did. I lost my cousin in June. He was about a year and a half older than me, and it was unexpected, and it pretty much threw the family for a loop. We had a family reunion in August, and we're going to have a memorial in October for the family that couldn't make it out to New York. So it hit me hard just because it was so close, and I took a break on a lot of things because it made me really focus. What's important? My family is.
It focuses the mind.
Yeah.
And as you know, I lost my brother,
Yeah.
and that celebration of his life was shared with my son and my daughter. And I can share part of what I said in my speech. So it was a eulogy. And I decided to have 4 segments of it and keep it simple. And so I did the Ho'oponopono prayer, where you start with saying, you know, I love you, I'm sorry, forgive me, and thank you. And I got the whole congregation, everybody that was there, and it was a 150 strong group in that church that joined in that prayer with me. And so the whole energy level was so loving. And the amount of people that came on to speak to me, to share what they felt about my brother, happened because of that prayer. I don't think that would have happened if it hadn't been for that prayer. And I was able to tell them the 4 segments of what I remember as a child in his protectiveness and his adventure, sense of adventure, and his sense of values and honour. And then when it came to my student days and being a teacher, he was there for me as a doctor, and that was an incredible gift and timing, that he was actually in a hospital when I had an emergency operation, and it was he that introduced me to the surgeon, and my son is named after the surgeon. Oh. And so I was able to bring my son into that eulogy, and to say I honour my brother, and I honour the fact that he introduced me to a surgeon called Reese Williams, and I named my son, and he is here. So isn't it nice that you can, as a result of Speak to Inspire, bring the eulogy as a structure and honour it?
Yes.
When you need to. And I felt that that was why I did my Speak to Inspire. I wouldn't have known my brother was going to be so seriously and terminally ill, but I felt that having done Speak to Inspire, it was a reason for it in terms of being able to stand up in front of totally strangers. I mean, I hardly knew anybody other than the family.
Wow.
So thank you to Brian Rose for that.
Yes, thank you to Brian. It's a life-changing experience.
A life-changing experience.
Yeah. Because
we don't know what's in front of us. And whatever happens, we're able to voice, and it's what I said on yesterday's live, be the voice, not an echo.
Yes, I like that a lot.
Well, it's what we said.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we all had our voices. And Life Tribe for me is the family having the voice.
Yes. And not being afraid, I'll say it again, not being afraid to use it, because it's a beautiful, harmonious choir when we all use our own voice. It's just amazing.
Yes. If there was, I think what I'd like to ask you before we finish, Jenn, is if you're going to give any encouragement to people starting American Real and starting the lives, what would it be? What's your...
to not
Okay.
be afraid. There was a time where I didn't have anything to say, and I did poorly remembered nursery rhymes. I don't know if you remember that. I couldn't get them accurate.
I do remember.
It was horrible, but I did it. And because I did it, I felt so comfortable that I realized I don't have to be reciting War and Peace. I need to be accountable to myself. I need to be able to commit to the process and just put it out there. And from that, I think the next day or two, I had a much more profound live than really poorly rehearsed nursery rhymes. So give it a shot. And the people you meet, I mean, our relationship has gotten stronger. We've met other people in the group that are just amazing. It's an opportunity to meet such great people. Go for it. Don't be afraid. Just do it. Do it.
I see that as the ripple effect, you know, because each one of us have done something and that's rippled on to something else. And yet we're still in this circle.
Yeah.
And I like what you said about put it out there. It's that permission. It's that platform to say, put it out there.
Yeah. Give yourself permission to explore this opportunity. Give yourself permission to try, maybe fail, put it out there. And I'm going to put the quirky flag on there. Have fun, be goofy, do a live on a snow mountain and twirl and almost fall off, but not break your neck. So, I mean,
and do a live on a cliff.
Yeah.
Where the wind is so strong, your hair is just covering your face. You can't really see anything, especially the camera to flick it. The flipping the camera has been the funniest thing for me. You know, to be able to time it so that when you've got hair in your face and you can't breathe. So that's thanks to Gav Carlos, because I can remember him saying, go out and do live outside. And I thought, yes, this is certainly a lesson.
Yes.
In nature.
Yeah.
And somebody should point the fact that there is a wind tunnel. It would be nice to have a little bit of a shelter. With
But this is a good lesson to learn, and then we can share. And yeah, don't be like in the wind tunnel, or ride your bike and then have your hair like.
Oh, it's the helmet hair.
Yeah.
I loved it. Absolutely loved it.
It was real. It was very real.
Yes, and I think you'd gone in a shower or you got wet. That was the other bit of.
That was another one that was beautiful hair that day too.
You could, that could be a weather forecast, couldn't it, really? You could be there with your navigating charts.
Yeah.
Yes, helmet on, helmet off.
Yeah.
Yes, I can see that happening. Well, I hate to say, but love and leave you. This has been, again, a lovely, lovely exchange.
I've enjoyed it so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you too, Jenn Walter.
All right. Bye.
Let's find out what happens next.
Oh, yes. Yes, the adventure still continues. Chapter 2.
It continues. Good night.
Good night.
A night.